Good evening, good afternoon, I guess. Good morning.
This evening.
It's evening. We're recording today for our digital project with Pearview A&M and Texas and A&M Kingsville about the black-brown experience of both universities. I'm Dr. Rodriguez, professor of history, also director of the Mexican American Studies Institute here at Kingsville. And this is my student, I guess not student, I guess you haven't taken the class with me yet, but you're always here. So one of our regulars, A.B. Hernandez. And so one of the project A.B. we're working on is looking at, we talked a little bit about it already, right, about the Latino experience at an HBCU and the black experience at an HSI, Hispanic Service Institute. Now I chose you, the first one, because you're a unique person, not only because where you come from, but your upbringing. So maybe you can tell us a little bit, introduce yourself, tell me about your background, your mom and dad.
I got you.
And your name and stuff, why you're Hernandez,
Yeah, I got you. My name is Abraham Hernandez Jr. Hernandez, I got it from my dad, obviously. That was his last name. My mom, she's African American, and my dad, he's El Salvadoreño. Both of my grandparents on my dad's side, they're El Salvadoreño also. So it's kind of a funny way how they met. They met in South Texas, both SEC. It took my dad forever to graduate college. So my mom, it was quick. They met at SEC, and a couple of years later, I was born.
So how did your parents end up in the Valley or South Texas?
My dad, growing up, he moved all over Texas, and it wasn't until his sophomore year in high school, I believe. He went to Hidalgo High School.
Okay.
He went to Hidalgo High School, and he just stayed there until he graduated high school. He played basketball at Texas Lutheran, and then transferred to UTSA, and then finishing up college, he went to SEC. My mom, she did track and field at UTRGV, and like I said, it's pretty quick for her to graduate college, and then she had like a few more classes, and that's when they met at SCC.
And so your mom originally was from where?
Lake Jackson.
Lake Jackson. So that's what, Houston?
Yeah, outskirts of Houston.
Outskirts of Houston, yeah.
Brazoswood, Brazosport area.
Yeah. And so, like Greater Houston, right?
Yes.
And so, so you grew up in the Valley, right? I mean,
yes,
you
sir.
grew up in, you played football. Yeah, Puro 956, right? And so when I met AB, we hit it off because my work is on Afro-Latinos and Black-Brown relations, and so we started talking about, how people perceive him, right? Do they think that he's a Latino or an African-American or black, or you probably never heard, the word Blaxican until we talked, right? And so, but tell me about how it was going to school in Mission, right? Mission, and how you played sports and what sports you played, and maybe a little bit about how you grew up with your colleagues, your other students, but also how you were treated by the community.
Yes, sir. I went to Mission High School back in MCSD. For the most part, it was amazing for me. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of strange. Well, I guess for the majority of a regular black student, because I was, besides my sister and one or two other people, I was like one of the few black people in the high school, and not only just in the high school, but like in the Valley itself. So I mean, it was pretty cool. Like every time we saw another black person in the Valley, or whenever track meets or like different football games, all the black people knew each other, So it was pretty cool. It was like a little connection we had. But yeah, in high school it was weird, I guess sometimes, because I'll be on social media and I'll see all these different black individuals, black students at high school and stuff, and I'll be like, dang, I wonder what that must be like, like having like another like race that's not your relative, there with you. But it was good for the most part. There were some times, that, my friends, or other people, they'll like try to slip in like a black joke here and there, and this is just me. At first I would try to like defend myself, what any normal person would do, but other times it'd be like, I ain't got no backup, So, but I had a great time in high school. Everybody they were really respectful with me. I was respectful with everybody. My mom, she worked for the district. She was a math coordinator over there. So all the administrations, at the different high schools and my high school, they were very fond of me and stuff. So I was trying to be on my best behavior, get grades, because the moment I slipped up,
So what about when I mean I'm sure there was a sense of confusion sometimes when they saw you as a black man, but you were Hernandez, and how did that all play out? I mean I mean I've dealt with it and you know within my own family, but how you know I mean especially not only by Latinos but also by the black community, right? Maybe when you travel to Lake Jackson and you went to the Third Ward or something like that in Houston, or somebody got to know you, a cousin, and you were like Hernandez. Like, what's that all about?
It's funny you say that because that still happens to me now. Like I went to the diner hall the other day and I was wearing my cap that says Hernandez on it, and he was lunch face. You're like Hernandez, and then like I think it's funny because you don't really see that too often. Whenever people like question me about it or ask like you're Hernandez, like you're Mexican, and then it was always the same thing. Like no, I'm not Mexican, I'm El Salvadorian. And they're like, same thing, and I'm like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool being mixed, get the best of both worlds.
So you went from Mission being a really good athlete, right? I mean, top athlete there, doing really well. I mean, I remember even before I knew you, I would see you on the news, right? Because I mean, this is what I do. Right? I know there's a black student athlete that's being featured in the news, right? And you went from Mission to where? Your first school?
My first school was Mary Hardin Baylor. It's in Belton, hour of north from Austin.
So what was that like? And then you went there for one semester?
Yes, sir. My first semester, freshman year of college. It was different because I did have more black, students there to be there with me, and it was still like kind of like strange, I guess, because they were like 100% black.
Mm-hmm.
I was still like the only Hispanic and black student there. But it was very different because so growing up it was always like, man, you're black, like you're so black, like I guess like the way I would act, it wasn't like the society norm of what a Hispanic person should act. My other 50% would show sometimes, right? And then whenever I got to college, they're like, you're not even black, you're so Mexican and stuff. And I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I can see that, right? Like, or you're not black enough, right?
Yeah, you're not black enough.
Or you're too brown, So, yeah, no, we most definitely see that. I think I had the same experience when I went, even as a second generation Mexican American, when I went to Texas State. My first generation friends that were Mexicanos, they were like, you're not Mexican enough. You act too country. You want to go hang out with the Kappas and the Omegas and stuff. I'm like, well, I want to learn something new, right? So, and so you come here spring, knowing you now for 3 semesters, right? 3 semesters. I guess it was last year you really came in here more, right? So we forgot to know. So what I mean here is that we started coming to our Mexican American Studies Institute, where he had other friends that they came here, and that's where I met him. And right away when I said Hernandez, I go, I gotta get to know this guy. This is exactly what I do, right? And so we started talking and we hit it off. And one of the questions I have for you is, how you came to Kingsville, a predominantly Hispanic or Latino Mexican American space, right? Almost 80%. For Mary Hardin Baylor, probably black and brown people are the minorities, and the area of Belton is not quite as brown as here, right? So coming back to probably something you were more familiar, what was that like? What is your experience in the last 3 semesters been here? And I mean, I truly do appreciate you doing this for us, and we constantly talk about this kind of stuff, right? I mean, what was it like? I mean, most of the friends that I see around are from the Valley or Latinos. Every now and then I'll see you hanging out with some African Americans and black kids from Houston, because you're a part of the football team. But I see not only is AB student athlete, but he's a great student, by the way. So he's very invested in the studies, and I think that he dabbles in many worlds very, very well. But what is this like for you? I mean, is it different? You're having a lot of athletes also, or other black kids that are either African or that are African American from Metro Houston, from not a lot from the Valley, right? But what has that experience been like?
I'm not gonna lie. I literally had this conversation with my mom the other day. She was like, she picked my brain. Same thing you asked me, like, how was it when you came back? And I was like, honestly, whenever I came to Kingsville, it felt like I was back in the valley. You know, it felt like I was back at home. Growing up, I was born in Laredo, and then 2013 I moved to the valley. So my whole life I was like raised and I was surrounded by Hispanic people. So it was whenever I came back over here, it was home. You know, I felt like I was back at home. With the teammates and the other African American students here, me personally, I don't really concern myself with color or gender or whatever it is. I just try to see the good in people. You know, I try to see the good in people. I try to be friendly to everybody, be good, do the right thing, and you know, and especially like being on the team, the football team. You know what you said. There's like a lot of African American students from Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and everything. So I think whenever you leave what the norm is, what you're used to, and like you're surrounded by different people, you kind of tend to let go of what you used to know. So I think that's how it was for some of these guys, the African American students here, and talking to them, they're cool people, you know, and like I said before, it feels good having like other African American students and teammates around with me. So it's been good. It's been really good.
So do you ever get called out by the other African American students for saying like you're too brown, man, or you know what,
Yeah.
you're not one of us. You're kind of one of us, but bro, like what's going on here? You know, because you hang out with Angel quite a bit and Encarnacion, which are first generation college students. Angel is from Mexico, right? And I know myself, I got that pushback when I went to college, right? And like, why are you hanging out with all these black folks? Why are you hanging out with, why are you going to step shows? Why you date a black girl, and I'm like, and I got pushback from both sides, not only from my community, but also from the black community and from the brown community. What has that been like, specifically from the black community here?
For the black community, you'll get a few slick comments every now and then, like you ain't even full percent, like you can't do, they'll just throw some shade at me like that. And then with my full, like Angel and them, they're like same thing, like you're not even like full Hispanic, like you still got you got black in you. So it's like we're 50-50, we're mixed, so we're never gonna get that 100%. It's never gonna be that. We're never gonna be in the safe space, you know.
Nice. So let's take it a little personal here a little bit. How about, have you had any negative experiences, and whether it be, let's say in the classroom, for example, professors, or and you don't have to name names or anything, or administrators, like marginalizing you because you look like a black male in a brown space. I know there's not a lot of Latino professors you've had, but there's been professors that have been here for a while that know that this is an HSI. Have you had any kind of like awkwardness?
No, not really. Honestly, here everybody's been good to me. I've never really had any at all, to be honest, no racial, like, like just distancing me or like disrespecting me or like just trying to be different because of like my skin. It's been really good for me here.
How about the city itself? Maybe Kingsville or Corpus.
Corpus, I don't really be going down there too much. Every time I go, I was just to go see my uncle. But in the city of Kingsville, I think because they know like some of the black students here most of the time are athletes, so they treat us good. Most of the time they treat us good. I haven't had a single problem ever since I've been here.
So how about dating life, man? I know we've talked a little bit about this, you and I, because I talk a lot with APL, dating a Latina or dating a black girl, pushback from them or their family. I mean, I know, and I asked this because when my sister married a black man, my family went crazy. Not me, but my mom and dad, right? And I was like, that's what got me into this work, right? And thinking about like, why is there this idea of racism within another ethnic group that's of color? And I dealt that, I found out really fast that there was issues of, well, we're okay with you dating outside your race, but not black. It's okay if you date a white guy
Do you know why?
Well, I think because society tells them, or there's stereotypes of, being violent, being aggressive, and my dad was like, no. And I'm like, wait a minute, these are some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, right? And they have so much in common with me, right? I mean, you're invited to the carne asada, you're going to be invited to the cookout, right? I mean, a step show is no different than a baile, And so, I still ask this question in class very often, especially to my 1301, 1302 students. Is like, so I go around. We have questions for the guys and the girls, and one of the questions I ask the girls is, what would mom and dad or grandma say if you came home with a black boyfriend? And more than half of them, they said they had issues, right? Not necessarily them, but the extended family. And so, have you had any kind of those issues in your private dating life while you've been here?
No, not really. I haven't. I know it's funny that you say that though, because I know when I was growing up in the Valley, there was some, like I said, I was surrounded by Hispanic women a lot, so that was like, in the time, that was like my preference. And I noticed like every they would like me, the feelings were reciprocated, but it was always, I was never really able to take it to the next step and date them. And it didn't take me till I got to high school that I realized like it's not even them, it's the parents.
Yeah.
It's the family.
Yeah.
And I remember I asked my dad about that one time. I was like why is that, And then he was like, that's just the thing, a lot of older generation, a lot of older people, they like, keep the race within the race, to not keep it within the family, but keep it within the race, don't date outside your race.
Sure. And so, I think that one of the things that's interesting about Kingsville in general is that we have a community where people stay on campus, right? So those students that do come, like from the Valley, get to interact with each other, not just go to school and go home, like UTRGV or the campuses, right? And so I think that allows for people to, share ideas. Earlier on, we had a dark-skinned Latina here, and she was talking about how she felt uncomfortable when she was young because she was dark, right? And how that sort of brought a lot of issues to her self-esteem, right? So what would you say to a person considering going to an HSI like Kingsville and thinking about, is this a space for them, and thinking about, how is it different than? I mean, we'll talk a little bit about an HBCU right now, and so. What would you tell them? How would you describe this as somebody who's never been around the Latinos, or never been in a brown space? Not only the school, but the city, the food, the language, the space you're in. What would you tell them?
It's different from what most people think. For example, like a black individual, black student, like if they've never really been around Hispanic people before, and they come over here, it's definitely gonna be like something like, okay, like, I'm not used to this, it's definitely gonna be something they have to get used to. But I feel like it's college, it changes all around, that's just the next step of your life, but to Kingsville here specifically, or is, how would I word this? I don't know how to word this correctly.
No, I'm just saying, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
That's another B, like, B and me.
Yeah, I get you. It's definitely something that you just have to like get used to. Just something like, once you're around it, it's just, you're gonna be comfortable with it,
Yeah, no, I think that, how do you feel about not seeing representation in your faculty, and like not seeing enough, black folks being professors, or enough administrators being professors, do you think that matters? I know that you're surrounded by not only sports, but you deal with people in Kines, your major, this space that you come into. How does that, I know one of the things that I felt when I was at Texas State or Southwest Texas back then, it's like, man, there's a lot of brown people, students, but there's not a lot of brown professors,
right?
Or there's not a lot of black professors. I don't think I ever had a black professor when I was at Texas State or Southwest Texas. I think my first black professor I had was when I was my PhD in University of Houston, and I'm like, and it hit me where like, what's going on here? I mean, so we haven't had a. Does that matter to you? Do you think?
Me personally, this is just me. I don't think it matters what race, gender you are. Just as long as you teach me what I need to know. Like also like try to like get to know me as a person, like help me on a deeper level. But for like a regular black student just coming in here to Kingsville, and they're not used to like the Latino cultures or Hispanic culture, and they want to like, okay, like who's a black representative here that I can lean on. I feel like that would be something, okay, like we should maybe get like one or two African American professors or administration here, so a black student that doesn't really like, I wouldn't necessarily say feel comfortable, but just want to lean on something they're more fond of.
So you think your experience would have been different as a biracial kid or bi-ethnic kid coming from South Texas, going to an HBCU like Fairview A&M or Texas Southern or Howard or not Howard, I guess it would be maybe like some of these HBCUs, Southern, Grambling. You think it would have been different? And let's think about PV because it's somebody we're doing work with, right? It's still Texas. It's a little bit of the outskirts of Houston. You think your experience would have been different as a student?
I think with me it would have been a little different only because I never really went to school with other black students, so I do think it would have been different if I would have went to the HBCU. I would have loved to go though. I would have loved to. I know my mom, she was really pushing for me to go.
And why not? Why didn't you want to go?
I just chose the football route. I chose to come here.
Well, there's always grad school. You can always go to a grad program, right, and stuff.
I think I told you this the other day. Prairie View is the second school I ever went on the college visit to. So I remember when I went, I was like, this place is amazing.
Yeah, it is, and it's done some amazing stuff. I mean, the football stadium is beautiful. They have so many cool spaces, right? Stuff that we don't have here that they have up there, right? So I guess I wanna hit you with this last question, and don't feel like you're trying to butter me up. What does this space mean to you? Not necessarily the podcast room. Mexican American Studies Institute that now is your home. I mean, your home is. And we love to have you here. We appreciate you. But what does this space mean to you? I mean, I know when you first walked in, you would come maybe once a month, or you'll see you every 3-4 weeks, and then you would disappear. But now I see you on a daily, right? And I mean, I don't get me wrong, I appreciate that, right? I want you to be around here. But what does this space mean to you as a student, as as a black, brown, biracial kid from South Texas? What does this space mean to you? Because I mean, you're one of the few African Americans or people that's of African descent or black that hangs out in this space. We have others, right? But we're regular. Yeah. And what does this mean to you, and why here? I mean, not that I'm trying to bring you off.
Yeah, no, you good. Honestly, this place is great. I think this place is a great space for students to come and congregate with other students that have the same background, that maybe have the same race as them, or just different, and just another way to like I said, congregate with each other, and not only with students but professors as well, And it's also like a great place to like learn new stuff about your history that you maybe didn't know about yourself. I remember when I first came, I was asking questions about El Salvador that my grandma was telling me, and I was like, this happened? And I was like, wait, I know a guy, let me ask. And then that's when I came in and I started asking more questions about it, and he would tell me. And that's when I became more fond with the people, the regulars that come here all the time. And I think it's a great place. At my old college, if there was something we had Masi, I would have been here also,
No, I mean, we do appreciate you coming here, man, and you bring a whole different dynamic to the group that's needed, by the way, you know what I mean? Because I've been talking to them about this, but to see it living like a kid like you that, I'm not going to call you a man, that grew up on the border, right? And grew up as a person of color, that was not the majority, right? And then decided to go off to college and then came back and come to this space, right? And many connections to South Texas, right? And I totally agree with you. I think that Kingsville is basically a little valley, a little RGV, a little 956, maybe the 361 is, you know, abbreviated.
It doesn't get the 956 label.
Yeah. But it's most definitely, man. So I appreciate you, AB, and I appreciate you doing this for us. And it's okay if we use the interview for replication.
I appreciate you having me out here.
Yeah, man. We'll always be here for you, whatever you need, and we'll continue the conversation. All right.
Sir,
all right, man. Take it easy.